These ideas do not fail to present themselves to the sinner and inspire fear and inquietude. But as, on the other hand, self-love and corruption reign in the heart, these come to his support and strive by vain reasonings to defend or to extenuate the sin. The Gentiles then, however depraved, lost, and abandoned, and however destitute of the aid of the written law, are notwithstanding a law to themselves, having the law written in their hearts. They have still sufficient light to discern between good and evil, virtue and vice, honesty and dishonesty, and their conscience enables them sufficiently to make that distinction, whether before committing sin, or in the commission of it, or after they have committed it. Beside this, remorse on account of their crimes reminds them that there is a God, a judge before whom they must appear to render account to him of their actions. They are then a law to themselves. They have the work of the law written in their hearts. That the knowledge of the revealed law of God has not been preserved in every nation is, however, entirely to be attributed to human depravity, and if it was restored to one nation for the benefit of others, it must be ascribed to the goodness of God. The law of God and the revelation respecting the Messiah had been delivered to all men after the flood by Noah, who was a preacher of the everlasting righteousness, 2 Peter 2:5, which was to be brought in to answer the demands of that law. But all the nations of the earth had lost the remembrance of it, not liking to retain God in their knowledge. God again discovered it to the Jews in that written revelation with which they were favored. If it be asked, why was the law vouchsafed in this manner to that nation and not also to the Gentiles? Paul explains this mystery in chapter 11. It is sufficient then to say that God has willed to make known by this abandonment how great and dreadful was the fall of the human race, and by that means one day to magnify the glory of the grace which he purposed to bestow on men by Jesus Christ. He willed to leave a great part of men a prey to Satan, to show how great is his abhorrence of sin, and how great was the wrath which our disobedience had kindled against the world. But why did he not also abandon the Jews? Because he chose to leave some ray of hope in the world, and it pleased him to lay the foundation of redemption by his Son. But why was the greater part abandoned? Because then was the time of divine wrath and justice, and sin must be allowed to abound, that grace might superabound. Why, in fine, choose the nations of the Jews rather than any other nation? Because, without any further reason, it was the sovereign good pleasure of God. Verse 16, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Jesus Christ, according to my gospel. This verse is to be construed in connection with the 12th, to the contents of which the 3 intermediate verses had given, in a parenthesis, the explanatory answers. In the day when God shall judge, it is here assumed by the apostle that God is the judge of the world. This is a truth which nature and right reason teach. Since intelligent creatures are capable of obedience to law, it necessarily follows that they have a judge, for the law would be null and void if it were left as a dead letter, without a judge to put it in execution. And as there is a law common to the whole human race, it must also be admitted that there is a common judge. Now this judge of all can only be God, for it is only God who possesses all the qualifications for such an office. The apostle likewise assumes that there will be a day when God will hold this judgment. This is also a truth conformable to right reason, for there must be a fixed time for rendering public the decrees of justice, otherwise it would not be duly honored, since its honor consists in being recognized to be what it is before all creatures. If, then, there were only individual judgments, either in this life or at death, justice would not be manifested as it ought to be. Hence it follows that there must be a public and solemn day in which God will execute judgment before the assembled universe.